Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the Education USA Thursday information session. Today we have with us Shraddha from Wayne State University, who will be talking to you about writing a winning essay or an SOP, which is a critical component of the US University application process. Before I hand over to Shraddha, I'd just like to brief you that Education USA organizes information sessions a couple of Thursdays in a month. We'd request you to look at our calendar of events, which will be put up on the US India Educational Foundation website. Do look up the Chennai calendar of events to see what upcoming events we have. Just for a quick information, we will be having another session on August 29th, which is for undergraduate students, and we'll be covering the application portals as well as the financial aid application forms. In the month of September, just for your information, on August 6th, we will be conducting an Education USA fair in the city of Kochi at Taj Gateway Marine Drive from 2:15 to 8 p.m. We're expecting at least about 15 to 20 US universities to join us for the fair in Kochi. On August 7th, which is Saturday, we will be conducting the same fair, education fair in Chennai. This will also be from 2:15 to 8 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Tenampet, and we are expecting about 30 US universities to join us for this education fair. So without further ado, I would now like to hand it over to Shraddha from Wayne State University to give you pointers about writing a winning essay and a statement of purpose.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aparna. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Shraddha. I am the India Recruitment Advisor for the Wayne State University. Wayne State University is a Michigan-based university in the United States, started almost 151 years back. It's a public research university, research-based university. So here is the thing. When I talk to the candidates are well versed that what are the application components that is required when it comes to applying to the United States, be it UG, be it postgrad, or be it the PhD programs. The question that they have in their mind is how to develop a story, how to portray your story to the admissions officers in a way that sounds convincing to them, in a way that you are the right candidate for that program, you are the right candidate for that particular university. So I am going to be talking about how are you going to portray your story via your statement of purpose. And after finishing off the session, going back, not just the SOP, I will also be touching upon the resume and the letter of recommendation component as well. And once we finish off discussing those components, then I'll take you through, the courses that are available at Wayne State University and what are the resources that are there at Wayne State University that you can use in order to materialize your goals that you have post-graduation. Let's start. And then I am open to the questions as well towards the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please jot it down so you don't forget to ask me those questions. One of the reasons I am flying from Bombay to Chennai just to make sure that I meet you guys in person, and make sure, because I'm in person, make sure that you ask as much questions as you can. Having said that, doesn't mean that I'm not available on emails, phones, or WhatsApp, or all of this social media platforms. I'm there. It's just to make it quick. All right, copy me. Great. Okay, so I wanted to name it demystifying the application process. Yeah, so here are these three things that's required: statement of purpose, resume, and letter of recommendation. Pretty simple. You all know what is required in statement of purpose. I would want to throw my perspective. I mean, I'm coming from the university's background. I am going to give you the points that we at university level try to look at when we are looking at the application and looking at the statement of purposes. Okay, there are three kind of things that we expect in the statement of purpose, which is implicit. One, why this program? Second, what are your goals? Further, I would say long-term and the short-term goals. And third, I would say why this university? Okay, the first two, why this program and what are your goals? These both two questions are complementary to each other. You cannot answer the former one if you do not know the answer to the latter one. Same vice versa, you know the answer of the latter one. If you don't know the answer to latter one, which is what my goals are, you cannot say this is the program that I want to target upon post my undergrad or after my 12th and so on. All right, they have to support each other. So again, going back, your program, intended program of study, and your goals, they have to complement each other. Okay. So, and then the third one is why this university. For example, you are applying for Masters of Computer Science at Wayne State University. So here are the three questions I have. One, why this program, Masters of Computer Science? Second, what your goals are? Tell me the roles and responsibilities that you want to play post-graduation. And third, tell me why you feel that Masters in Computer Science program at Wayne State University is the best appropriate, the best fit university for you. Okay. Now, why I'm asking why this university is because I am like, there are almost about 4,000 universities in the United States. Most of them would have this common program called computer science. But why you have chosen this one university out of those universities? Okay. Here, I don't want you to tell me, I don't want you to confine yourself to the curriculum of the computer science program. Because the computer science program, the curriculum of computer science program at Wayne State or be at the other XYZ university or say in India is going to be almost same. I would want you to talk about the USPs. I would want you to talk about what are the research projects that's going on in our school and how do you want to participate in those kind of research projects. How those research projects resonate with you and your intended area of study or say, you know, whatever your future goals are. What are the professors that you have liked at Wayne State University and why you have liked those professors and so on. So I don't want you to choose the university on the basis that I meet their average GPA, I meet their average GRE requirement and so on. So I feel that this university is easier to get through, so let me apply to this university. That should not be the idea. All right. It should be, am I the right candidate? Do they have the resources? So when I say resources, again, I'm not confining myself just to the faculty and just to the classroom. When I say resources, what is it that is available outside of the classroom? How am I going to make the best out of it? How am I going to use it? That is something that's very important for me to know that this candidate is committed for this university, committed to this university and to this program as well. Because I don't want you to make a wrong decision in your life 2 years down the line, curled up in the corner and thinking, this is not my cup of tea. Okay, now going back to the first 2 points that I discussed, why this program and what your goals are. So when I say why this program, again, I feel that some of the students would come to me, most of the time, they come to me and they say, because I feel that is the only area that's, you know, that is the only option that I'm left with. I'm saying why, I'm asking why, and they're like, I did my bachelor's in computer science or bachelor's in industrial engineering or bachelor's in business administration. I feel that MBA makes sense. I feel then CS makes sense. I feel that mechanical, you know, makes sense. No, it's not the answer. So when I say why this program, I want you to talk about all of those experiences that you've had in your classroom and outside of the classroom that drove your interest to think towards masters in one specialized field. You have already done computer science, you know the nitty-gritties, but why do you want to learn the extension? Masters, specialized masters is the extension to what has been taught to you in the bachelor's program. Am I right or wrong? Right? And if you want to specialize in one area, if you want to know the extension of it, I'm sure there's something behind it. There's a reason behind it. So I am looking forward to know that reason. I want to know that reason. Not just I am from computer science background, so that's why masters in computer science. Okay. So when I say I'm looking for a reason, it doesn't mean that don't talk about what you have studied in your classroom. No, talk about that. But what are the research activities that you've undertaken? What else you've done about those subjects that you have, that you have gone through in your bachelor's program? Okay. And why you feel that your goals cannot be realized without the master's program. Okay, show me the value of the master's program. What value it is going to add in your profile, in your career, in your resume is something that I need to know. So here, let me make it simple for you to understand what I'm trying to say if I'm going very technical. All right. What I personally feel when I talk to my students, I try to say that to help them understand that what I need from them in terms of in the SOP. I would have to portray my story in a way that with the help of what I've done in the past, I have reached at point A. I see myself at point B. All right. To bridge the gap between point A and point B, I need those skill sets that I'm falling short of. And the master's in this university is going to bridge the gap between point A and point B. Does that make sense? right? This is what you have to do. It sounds simple. You will do back and forth editing, and believe me, when you write the SOP, when you start writing the SOP, you actually introspect. You find a new version of yourself by the time you have the final draft. Believe me, because you keep on questioning yourself, why this program? Why do I want this? But there can be other alternative program as well. Why don't I go ahead with that alternative program? Why do you want to stick to computer science or XYZ program? So you find a new version of yourself. You find answers to so many questions that was unanswered. And you yourself had the answers to those questions. It's just the introspection that was needed. Do that make sense? All right, go ahead.
Also speak from an undergrad student's perspective, maybe writing the essay in Common App.
So, when for the undergrad student as well, it is pretty much same. It is the same thing that's expected from you as well. But when I have to differentiate the SOP of the UG candidate from the PG candidate, I would say PG candidate, the master's candidate will have to be very specific. Why? Whereas the undergrad student can leave it open-ended sometimes, and sometimes also undergrad candidates, if they're not sure what is the program or what is the subject that they want to specialize in, they always have an option not to talk about the majors right now, not to select the majors right now. So that way, I always feel personally that they always have a window to leave it open-ended, but just give me an idea that what are you going to do about that program. You're not sure in terms of roles and responsibilities that you want to take on post your undergrad, that's fine, but show me the industry that you want to work for. Show me, if you have some idea, talk about that idea. Why do you want to implement that idea? Why you feel this idea is, that idea is not existing, then why do you feel that idea is needed? So that one thing is required from your side. So again, going back, that's my personal experience. What I have always felt and seen, that PG masters candidates will have to be very specific. So when I say very specific, when I'm saying goal, I want you to talk about the roles and responsibilities that you want to take on. If you have an entrepreneurial idea, how are you going to enter in the market with that entrepreneurial idea? How are you going to survive? And if that fails, that what is plan B? These are the kind of specificities that I'm looking at. Whereas from the undergrad candidate, I would not expect these kind of nitty-gritties. That's fine if you don't talk about role responsibilities and just these kind of nitty-gritties that I discussed. It's fine, but just be aware. From the undergrad candidates, I would say I'm expecting awareness. I know that why this candidate has chosen this program, because what I feel is undergrad candidate, they always have an option to go for masters later if they make, let's suppose, wrong choices, or they, if that was not something that they wanted, or maybe they want to do something else, they want to transition from X to Z, they have an option, that is masters. But you guys, you will have to be aware. If you have already made wrong choices in the bachelor's, masters cannot be the same. Can we move ahead?
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that I've already covered. I have it in the PPT as well, but I feel it's always better to talk rather than just reading it out. So would you please read it for yourself? It says the same thing. Point of decision. How did you develop an interest in your chosen field? How means what did you do in your undergrad? Or maybe if you had work experience, how your work experience made you realize that this is the next course of action. Same for the UG candidates as well. If you have decided that you want to go for this major, why you have decided this and how you have developed this interest. Your academic qualification, which is like a cliche, your academic qualification has to support whatever program you're going for and has to be good enough for an admissions officers to believe that this person can bear the rigor of academic here in this country in this program. Exact reason, again, it's kind of same thing. Your career goals, why you want to pursue the higher education. Okay, when I say why do you want to pursue the higher education, do you remember I said you may realize your dream without masters, without undergrad program, but why you feel that without this program or without this degree I cannot, or I may take time. So how that is possible to weave a convincing story there? By talking about the skill sets that you need to be equipped with in order to perform XYZ sort of a job. Okay. Specific university. I said why Wayne State University, why XYZ University. So you need to show these kind of things in your resume. You need to have covered these kind of information in your SOP. Statement of purpose. Again, statement of purpose is known as personal statement as well. Okay. Some of the universities may have essay questions but rather than asking you the statement of purpose. But the essay questions are also same. Why this program? They may divide the statement of purpose in 3 essay questions. Okay. All you need in order to succeed this application process is to ensure that you yourself are convinced why are you going for this program in this university before you're trying to convince the admissions officers. I feel it's very difficult for me to convince you if I myself not convinced with my decisions. Do I make sense? The conclusion, why you're a good fit. What is the value that you're going to add to the university as well? Here is the thing, guys. What happens whenever you shortlist the universities? I feel most of the candidates, what they do, they make their own checklist, right? X, Y, Z. These are the kind of opportunities that I'm looking at. This is my expectation. I feel XYZ university is meeting my expectation. I will go ahead and start off my application process. But hey, wait. You will have to put yourself into the shoes of admissions officers as well and then think, what is it that they are expecting from a candidate? Do I have those qualities that this XYZ university is looking at? If your checklist and the checklist of the university match, then there is a, if your expectation and expectation of the university match, it's great. If they clash, that's not a right fit university for you. That's why we say apply to the best fit university, apply to the right fit university. That's the meaning of right fit university and the best fit university. Clear? Amazing. As I said, how would you contribute to the society, to the university? It's a give and take relationship at the university level, right? You are learning from your peers as well, right? That's why we say you're going to sit with people coming from diverse professional background, diverse cultural background, right? Because we expect you to learn from each other. We expect you to use the classroom as a platform to share your knowledge and download knowledge from others. So that's why we also want to know that how are you going to contribute in the class? That contribution can be anything. Maybe you're coming from, you are you have a very strong, I would say, background when it comes to community services, right? And there is something that's related to the community services that's going to happen in the school. How are you going to use your experience to perform there? That's a very bad example, but did you understand? All right, great. Here you go. Resume. Before I talk about it, I would want to talk about the difference between the resume and statement of purpose. Okay, guys, resume is a snapshot of who you are. What have you achieved? Not who you are, what you have achieved. Again, resume is a snapshot of what you have achieved. In the case of masters and PhD, we do not include anything till 12th. It's after 12th. In the case of postgraduate, the UG candidate, everything that you've done from 1st to 12th class. Okay, again, in the case of UG, everything that you've achieved from 1st to 12th is included. In the case of masters and the PG candidate or the PhD candidate, everything that's after 12th that we include in the resume. Okay, your resume cannot be just about the bunch of things that you've done in your life. No. I would say, as an admissions officer, as you know, I've interacted with so many admissions officers as well at my level, and I've always tried to understand that what are they expecting in the resume? What do they want in the resume? Because sometimes I feel candidates think the resume is sort of, it's somewhat what statement of purpose is, because statement of purpose also states the same kind of thing. What I've done, why I want to go for this program, right? And the resume also states the same thing, what I've done so far. Here is the thing. Statement of purpose gives you a window to elaborate upon the experiences that you have mentioned in your resume. Okay? Whereas resume is a brief summary. That's why it has to be confined to 1 page. Not more than that. If you have more than 10 years of work experience, maybe you can go beyond one page, but it has to be one page, it has to be precise. And the most important thing, as I said, it doesn't have to be a bunch of things that you have done, it has to be the outcome of everything that you have done so far. I would be interested to see the outcome, to see the value that you've added to each and everything that you've pursued in your career so far, rather than you coming to me or mentioning in the resume that I just did this. Makes no sense. If you ever work for Teach for India, you cannot leave it at I worked for Teach for India for 2 years. No. What I am interested to know is what is the value that you added during your tenure there. If you quantify that in a way that I worked for Teach for India for 2 years and you taught 11th and 12th graders mathematics and English, okay? When you joined Teach for India, there were just 30 candidates, right? But when you left or during your tenure, you were able to increase that number by 50% or 20%. Now that's the value added advantage. Now in the statement of purpose, what I would expect is, what did you do in order to increase that number? So that means elaboration. That what I mean by elaboration. Did you understand? Okay, again, going back to the resume, it has to be quantified information, not just, okay, here is the thing. Do not tell me I have done this, show me. Okay, do not tell me I work for Teach for India. Show me what did you do there with the help of outcome. Okay, makes it easy for the admissions officers to trust you that way, trust your information that way. What are the kind of things that's included in the resume? Pretty simple. If you have work experience, include the work experience. Talk about, again, what did you do when you worked for a company? Again, quantified, outcome. If you don't have work experience, just internship, talk about the internship, what you did there as well. And then if you have, in the case of, technical programs, you have so many research work, not just the technical, now the non-technical program as well. You have the research projects, you have publications, mention about those research work, mention those publications that have had so far. And then extracurricular activities. Remember, in the United States, we really appreciate the extracurricular activities. You don't have to think that extracurricular activity is not going to add much value to my profile, so I'll abandon my interest and would just focus on my study. No, we give attention to the extracurricular activities as well. And in fact, I would say that is one of the components which is going to help you to diversify your profile from the other applicants applying from all around the world who have had the same kind of background like you. Here is the example. I am going for pre-med. All right. You are going for pre-med too, or maybe you guys are going for pre-med too. I have 90% in my 12th grade, right? You have 90% in your 12th grade. I have good SOP. You have good SOP too. Now let's suppose there's just one seat and one student has to be selected for that seat. Okay. Now think from the university perspective and from the perspective of someone who's going through the essay or going through the document, it's very difficult to choose one, right? On the basis of what? But let's say you guys, you were also a part of the volleyball team. You represented your university at the state level or at the national level. Of course, who's going to win the game? You, right? This is how you diversified your profile. This is how it adds value to your profile. I would call it extra added advantage. So if you are into some extracurricular activities, please pursue that, but with a meaning. You enjoy that, I understand, but what is that? I mean, what's the meaning beyond the enjoying the the activity that you're doing? There has to be reason behind everything that you're doing. All right, that's what I need. I need the logic behind everything that you talk about in your resume. GPA, cannot miss the GPA part. All right. Because in the US, all of these components, your extracurricular activities, your GPA, your SAT, your GRE, all of these things are complementary to each other, okay? If you didn't do well in school, you anticipated 90%, you got 80%, that's okay. Cannot do anything about it at all. But you can make that up, make for that with the help of your good SAT score, with the help of your good GRE score, right? So what I'm trying to say, there's just not one thing that can make or break the deal. we are going to look at the other components as well. Universities would look at the other components as well. If not good CGPA, let me look at the GRE score. Let me look at the SAT. If not good there, then let me look at his reasons or her reasons behind pursuing that program. Let me look at what are the other extracurricular activities she has or he has pursued or done. Yeah, so there are so many factors that play a role, so many components to the application process. All right, so you don't have to be worried about something that cannot be that it cannot be rectified, but just move on and think what can be done in order to make up for that. As I said, quantified information, quantified outcome, focus on the outcome and the value add. Okay, what value you added to everything that you were associated with. That's important to know. Letter of recommendation. Here is my definition of letter of recommendation, what I feel. You've been talking about yourself, trying to boast about yourself as much as you could, using your resume, using your statement of purpose as well. Think from the admissions officer's perspective. Let me say it's me. I've never met you. I have never spoken to you. I have never seen you in my life. Okay? I am on the other side of the world reading your documents. On the basis of that, I have to decide whether to take her or take him or not, right? So here is the thing. I feel it's a trust, I have to trust you. But why and how, right? Why should I trust you? I feel this is something, letter of recommendation is something that vouches for you. Because that comes from the third person. Third person is saying that yes, this candidate is a good candidate for your program. Now that the third person is involved here, make sure that third person knows you, has the ability to comment on your strength and your weaknesses. If you are in school, your counselors can be your recommender. Your subject teachers can be your recommender because they have taught you. They know your weak points. They know your strong points. They know what are the areas you need help. They know what are your aspirations. In the case of PG, in the case of PhD, I would say your professors would be your recommender. If you are a candidate with work experience, if you have 1-2 years of work experience as well, then your employer can be your recommender. Your supervisor can be your manager can be your recommender. Anyone that you have a direct interaction with. Someone who knows you. To be able to comment on your qualities and weaknesses, it's very important for a recommender to know you. So I would say precisely anyone who knows you for more than 1 year has the ability to comment on those areas. Okay, so 3 things. Statement of purpose, resume, letter of recommendation. These are the 3 important documents that's required for the application process. I covered how to choose your recommender as well. Well, here's the thing, which we have discussed when I started this presentation. Clear communication. Grammar is not a point of concern. Clear communication. Clarity of thoughts. Do not leave anything open-ended for an admission officer to assume. An admissions officer, they don't have an opportunity to get in touch with you. They don't have time to get in touch with you to ask, what did you mean by that in the SOP or in the resume? Could you please elaborate? They don't have time. Okay, so be precise. Logic of the argument. Why? Why is the main question. That's the logic. And then structure and flow of the content. Structure and flow of the content. Again, I feel that it can be customized as per how you like, but the most important thing is cover why, what, when, how, sort of a thing. Creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. Well, I would say there's no definition to it. Creativity, out-of-the-box thinking can be anything. It can be anything. For example, I would say creativity can be related to how am I going to write my statement of purpose. Creativity can be related to my goals. Out-of-box thinking can be related to how am I going to use computer science course for the industrial engineering sort of, with the industrial engineering sort of a background. So it can be anything. It's a very situational based sort of a thing. Okay. So in US, there are 2 types of universities. Public universities and private universities. Public universities are state-funded universities, where private universities are the autonomous universities. Wayne State University is a state university. Okay, and then flexible choices. So when I say flexible, I mean here, let me go back to undergrad. During your undergrad, you don't have to decide right now that what is going to be the major that I want to specialize on. What are the subjects that I want to specialize on? You don't have to make your choices when you're not yourself convinced. Okay, you can make the choices once you're at the campus, once you've gone, once you've done the part of the curriculum, gone through a couple of, I would say subjects, spoken to your faculty members, spoken to your peers, your career counselors, with the help of them, then you decide what's the program that you're going to enjoy the most, what's the program that's going to help you to realize your long-term goals. That's flexible programs. Okay, even at the master's level as well. For example, Masters of Business Administration, you are never asked to choose the concentration while applying to the school. You can do that later. By flexible curriculum and choices, I also mean in some of the universities, what happens, you're going for a technical program, but you have an access to the classes in the top non-technical schools as well. For example, here at Wayne State University, there is a program called Masters of Data Science and Business Analytics, which is given by the business school and the College of Engineering as well. So by that I mean you have an access to the business school, you have an access to the engineering college as well. So that's how it works. It's flexible. You want to take a couple of, I would say, courses, a couple of classes, which is not a part of your curriculum. Some of the universities would allow you to sit in other departments, sit in other classes, and then do it there. Okay, nothing is rigid. It's flexible. And some of the universities would also allow you to design your own curriculum from day one. I would not name it. I would leave it on you to figure it out. But there are these kind of universities as well, right? That you design your own curriculum from day one. It's not at the undergrad level. It's at the master's level. Yeah. So credit hour system. So if I talk about the master's program, it's 32 to 34 credits. It also differs from university to university. I'm saying this is what that it ranges from. At the level of UG candidates, it's 120 credits that we have, 40 credits each year. 30 credits each year. Bad mathematics. So we have 4 intakes in US. We have fall, we have winter, we have spring, and then we have summer as well. Now, it varies from school to school, university to university. Some of the universities will just have fall intake. Some of the universities would just have fall and spring, and some of them might have all of these intakes. So we'll have to check before you apply to the university. Okay. And then research focused. Okay, so US is #1 destination for most of us because we know that how much they are spending in the research work, how much they focus on research. I cannot emphasize more. At the Wayne State level, I know the data of my university. That's why I'm just picking up my university. We are spending $19 million every year in the engineering field for the research work on the research. At the university level, we are spending $245 million every year for the research purposes at the university. So this is how, we emphasize in research here. Research is important. So when I say research, why it's important? Because when are you coming to the United States, one of the thought that's back in your head is, I will get the practical exposure. And to be able to get the practical exposure, you have to go beyond the class. Okay, move, go out of the class and see how the things are done. Do that real time, implement everything that has been taught to you in the class, real time in the campus. For that, what do you need? You need infrastructure, you need equipments. That's what we're investing on. Okay. And then yes, part-time work on campus. You can work for 20 hours a week on campus, and then optional practical training and curriculum practical training. It's a very technical thing. I would not delve deep into it. You guys will have my number towards the end of the presentation. You can get in touch with me if you need further information, but just to touch upon these areas, optional practical training is 1 more year of extension on your visa to work there, stay back in the United States and work there for 1 year. Curriculum optional practical training is not a part of your curriculum. Okay, curricular practical training is a part of your curriculum. 12 months, both. I will not speak more than this. Okay.
I think you should just clarify that this will again vary from program to program and
yes,
university to university.
Yes, CPT also varies from programs to programs. Not all of the programs will have curricular practical training. Okay, and then if program doesn't have the curriculum practical training, does not mean you cannot pursue it, but if you pursue it, you have to get some credits for that training that you're pursuing. Okay, again it's technical, so let me go back. All of the universities and all of their programs will not necessarily have the CPT. Okay, however, so OPT is not confined to the curriculum. Be it any kind of background, be it technical background, non-technical background, you have the opportunity to extend your visa for 1 more year and then work for 1 more year and gain experience.
Please also clarify that that's an internship on a student visa.
Yes, that's an internship on a student visa. That's not H1, that's not work visa. That's what I'm saying, extension on your F1 visa. Thank you, Aparna. Admission requirements. You all know the admission requirements. You're at the UG level, it's your 12th transcripts, and then at your not 12th, your 11th transcripts, and the, you know, I would say, because your results are not out by then the what do you call it, tentative transcripts is required. And then at the master's level and PhD level, your transcripts of your undergrad is required. If you have work experience, then again you need your, you know, all of those things, components, and then application form. You have to submit the transcripts, English language proficiency test, and standardized tests, just as GMAT, GRE, and SAT as well. Now, in some of the universities, GRE, SAT, and GMAT is not mandatory. Again, in some of the universities, GRE, GMAT, and SAT is not mandatory. If you have it, report your score. If you don't have it, that does not stop you from applying. You can apply and get an admit as well. Okay, Wayne State University does not require GRE and SAT again, but if you want to be considered for the scholarships, you are required to submit your GRE and SAT score as well. I strongly recommend to that's why I always say, I would strongly recommend to take your GRE, take your GMAT, and take your SAT. But because what happens if you're not taking these standardized tests, because most of the university would ask for it, you are narrowing down the list of universities that you want to, you know, apply to. Don't do that. It's a one-time opportunity that you have to, you know, study. I mean, be it UG level, be it the master's level, make the most out of it. If you have anything that's more than 300 in GRE, or more than 500 in GMAT, or in the case of SAT, I would say more than 1,000, please report your scores to the universities. That doesn't even require these standardized tests. Believe me, that will add one more, that'll be one more added advantage to your profile, because that's when you will be competitive for someone who has applied without the GMAT, SAT, or GRE. Okay, extra edge. So yes, there is, so while talking about the transcript, again, transcript is used, that's the term that we use for mark sheets. Mark sheets are known as transcripts in the US. Some of the universities are okay if you submit the mark sheet that you've got from the school, got from the university as it is. However, because in the US, marking, the grade scale that we use is on the scale of 0 to 4. 4 is the max, right? In India, somewhere it's out of 10, somewhere is out of 7, somewhere is out of 5, somewhere is out of 100, and in IB board there's a point, right? So it might create confusion and might make it cumbersome for the application officers to understand what's good, what's okay, what's average. So in that case, they ask for WES evaluation. Okay, it's an evaluation of your mark sheet on the scale of, they convert your marks on the scale of 4. That's called WS evaluation. Again, all of the universities would not ask for it. Most of the universities are okay if you apply without WS evaluation. If they need it, they would mention it categorically on their admissions page on their website. Okay, it's a paid service, $250 for this service that you have to pay. At Wayne State University, you can apply with your transcripts that you have gotten from the school and the university as it is, but once you reach at campus in your first semester, you will have to get the WS evaluation done. Because it's of $250, we give the money back. Document needed for admissions, I have already covered these part. SOP, letter of recommendation, resume, and passport copy. Now here's the thing, little bit about Wayne State University. As I said during the when I started, that it's a state university, it's a state university and a public university, research-based university based in Detroit, Michigan, United States. When we apply to the universities, we always have one thing in our mind: is this brand recognized in my home country if I go back? Is this brand recognized globally? What is the ranking of this university? Ranking plays an important role, but that should not be the only criteria for me to run after one university or be committed to one university. There are so many other aspects to the university selection rather than just running after and going beyond, going after the ranking. Those opportunities are, what are the extra opportunities that this university has beyond the classroom? How do I resonate with one of those opportunities? How am I going to make maximum out of it? Okay, what is the university standing when it comes to this particular course? Ranking is always based on the courses, I feel. One university cannot be good for everything. They cannot be awesome for everything. One university may be great at aeronautical engineering, right? But for MBA and master's program, they're not much known. Okay, so ranking, make sure that when you're going by the ranking of the university, you know what does this ranking signify. Is this ranking relevant to my program, to my course that I'm opting for? You have any questions about how to choose the university, how to finalize the university, how to go about it? You have help from us. You have help from the people from USIEF. You can reach out to them. You can reach out to me as well if needed. Okay, so this is the ranking of the university. I don't expect you to remember this at all, but just give it a glance. It's ranked in the top 0.8% of the universities worldwide by the Center for World University Ranking. It's ranked 43 in USA by national ranking. It is one of the America's 50 largest public university and 50 safest campuses. Is it safe? This is the question that I have in my mind. When I'm sending my daughter, who is just graduated from 12th class, she has to manage everything on her own, including herself, right? Is this campus safe? Wayne State University has its own police department on campus, with 60 cops till now. It's a 200+ acre campus in the heart of Midtown Detroit, and then nearly 27,000 students are there, out of which this data has to be changed. 3,000 students are international students coming from 70+ countries. This is affiliated with more than 150 institutions around the world. ABET Higher Learning Commission. Don't bother. I'm just sharing this information with you. You don't have to remember all this. Once you decide that this can be one of the schools that I may want to consider for my program of interest, then you can delve into the research and get in touch with me or them to know more about the program, to know the program specific information as well. 350+ degree they offer. So it's, be it engineering, be it your business program, be it your nursing, or the liberal arts program, everything we have. We're not confined to engineering. In technical and non-technical, all of the programs are there. And I would say 350+ degree programs we have in the certification programs as well. Now here's the thing, certification program is not for the international students. It's just for the domestic students. We have 13 schools. The 350 programs is offered across 13 schools and colleges we have at Wayne State University. Midtown Detroit. Why I want to talk about Detroit specifically is because when I'm applying to the US, I want to make sure that I have the job opportunities, proximity to the kind of companies that I see myself working for post my grad, right? It's very important to know what companies. That's where location plays a role. I want to pursue bachelor's in mechanical engineering, majors in mechanical engineering, right? Masters in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and I see there are companies there in Detroit that are, that are headquartered in Detroit and coming from those kind of spaces. There are ample number of opportunities for me in that space. That makes it easier for me to find out internships, find out jobs, right? For me, if I'm new to the state, for me to travel from Michigan to another state just to get the opportunities in terms of internships and jobs becomes very tiresome and becomes very difficult as well, right? So that's why it's always easier if you have something outside of the campus. Does that make sense to you guys? So yes, Michigan is known as the Motor City of India. We have the headquarters of General Motors, and then Ford, and Mahindra recently has opened the manufacturing unit in Detroit. Recently, I would say last year if I'm not wrong. Schools and colleges, I've been talking about 13 schools and colleges. These are the schools and colleges I have. You want to study film studies? Come to us. You want to study journalism? Come to us. Communication? Come to us. Any kind of unconventional course that you have thought of, I feel that it's there at Wayne State University. It's just a click away. You just have to click and find out more. Should I change it? So here are some of the engineering programs, because I feel that most of the candidates from the southern part of India go for the engineering programs, technical programs. So I thought I might as well want to mention these things. So these are the kind of technical programs we have. Don't ignore this MS and PhD. We have the bachelor's as well. This is the program at the engineering level. And then yes, I was talking about the research, that why Wayne State is a research-based school and what are we doing in the research areas. Please read it for yourself to understand what we are doing there. Okay, it's only among 2.3% of the US university with the Carnegie Foundation classification. Now, to be able to understand what do we mean by 2.3% of US universities under the Carnegie Foundation classification, you will have to understand Carnegie Foundation first. Do that for yourself. It'll be too much if I talk about that as well. Okay, and then there is a there's a community called University Research Corridor, which is a Michigan-based corridor, and here are the 3 universities that's a part of that corridor. One is the Wayne State University, second is University of Michigan, and third is Michigan State University. So they do the research, they perform the research activities there. Okay, 91% of the research activities and the discoveries that has happened, that has taken place, is going to Michigan. They're implementing that in Michigan. Okay, on an average, as per the data from the last 5 years, they have been able to discover something new. I mean, one thing every day. Something, I mean, when I say one thing, one discovery every day, which is eventually creating the job opportunities in the market, not just in Michigan, in the entire United States. Okay, this is the annual research expenditure, and this has to be updated. Again, what are the kind of companies coming to recruit the candidates? Big talk has happened, but what are the companies? Tell me. These are the companies. Again, recently there was an article by one of my colleagues from Wayne State where the companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Amazon, all of these big companies, Adobe, has taken the candidates, has, recruited the candidates for the internships. For an international student, internship is very important because that's a platform for me to prove my qualities to my employer. And if I get an internship, my chances to convert that to a full-time job becomes good, relatively, becomes decent, relatively, right? So those companies are coming in. And then faculty, they are leaders in their field. Whatever they may be teaching in the class, they may be doing that outside, performing that outside. So they don't have the outdated information. It's a first-hand information that they're sharing with you because they are maybe conducting the research work in their subject, in their field of study area. Yes, it's 400 student organizations, and then we have international students from 70 plus countries. And if you are someone who's coming from the sports background, you always want sports to be there in you, then I would say NCAA is something that's related to sports in the United States. We are part of NCAA Division 2. Find it yourself, what is NCAA 2. Okay, and then yes, over 3,000 students living on campus. We have the on-campus, I would say dorms, and then if you choose to live outside of the campus, you are allowed to do that as well. Yes, what are our application process? Pretty simple, everything that we've discussed already. Resume, statement of purpose, letter of recommendation, but I do not need your GRE SAT if you do not need scholarship from me, because it's not mandatory. If you are looking at scholarship, then please report your standardized test scores as well. Okay, recommended deadline, do not bother to remember these deadlines. My definition of deadline is apply early. The early you apply, the better the chances are to get through the school, get through the program, not just to get through the program, I would say sometimes to fetch the scholarships as well. Do not drag your application till the late, till the end of December, till the end of January, February, thinking that they still have the remaining deadline. Yes, we have the deadline, but we review the application on a rolling basis. By that I mean, if you submit the application today, I will review, or I means the admissions officers, they will start reviewing the application from next day onwards. They would not wait for the other applicants or deadline to pass to start off reviewing their applications. No, it's on a rolling basis. Again, the moment you submit your application, I would say, process to review your application starts at the earliest and as early as possible. Okay, sometimes I feel this is also called first come first serve basis when it comes to the scholarships. Funding your education, scholarship, teaching assistantship and research assistantship. Now, teaching assistantship and research assistantship is not for the undergrad candidates. It's for the masters and the PhD students. I hope you know what is research assistantship. It's related to research. You're doing some research work under your professor, under your supervisor, and you are getting paid for it. Someone is paying you to do that research. Teaching assistantship, I am good at one course or one field, and I'm given the opportunity to teach that at a UG level, right? That's the teaching assistantship, and I'll be paid for that. So these are the opportunities available there. And then yes, if you want to apply to not just Wayne State University, other schools as well, please follow them on their social media pages. You get the updated information there. They might take time to get that information on their website, but on the social media, it gets there as early as possible. To keep yourself updated with the information about the university, about the program, please follow them on social media platforms. Sometimes what happens, even at the master's level, what I've seen, universities are even going to your social media platform and checking, are you following them? Because you're talking about your commitment towards that program and how much you love the university and you love the program. And if you do so, you must have been following us on the social media platform as well. That's not a deal breaker, but I just want to confirm that, is it genuine? Let me just go and check. It's nowhere in the application process. It's nowhere one of the criteria mentioned as one of the criteria. But these are small nitty-gritties that I'm sharing with you in order to strengthen your application, in order to sound much more genuine, in order to get updated information. Okay? This is my email ID and my contact number. If you have any question that's related to Wayne State University, or maybe that's related to the application process, please feel free to get in touch with me. I am very much active on emails than on phone calls. I might miss your phone calls and may not be able to return your calls, but if you write an email to me, I will definitely get back to you, because I do not read them unless I have time. Okay? Any question? I will hand it over to Aparna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your very detailed presentation, Shraddha. I'm sure our students have a little better idea of how to tackle the essay or the SOP that they will be writing very soon for their US university applications. So we'll quickly start with some questions from the audience. We are limited for time. We have just 5 minutes left. So please, any questions that you have. Yes, we'll start with.
Excuse me.
He has a question.
You said that Detroit is the hub for all manufacturing jobs and all. So what scope does it have for some field like biology or political science?
Well, I would say there are companies coming to recruit the candidates in that kind of field as well, and there are the companies in Detroit that are, which would fall under this space. But why I specifically mentioned manufacturing and sports, I'm sorry, not sports, I would say related to mechanical thing, because that's what it is dominated by. Okay, there would be so many companies that is recruiting, that's coming from the automobile department, or industry is there, not department, industry is there, right? It's known for automobile industry. Now, having said that doesn't mean other industries are not present there. It's there, but it's dominated by the automotive industry. That is the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has a question. Would you just repeat the question so that the online audience can hear?
Yes,
what the question
I
is?
would. Okay, so the question that your name? Student had asked is basically that what Detroit is known for when it comes to job opportunities. It is just limited to automotive industry, or there are other industries present there as well? So that was the answer to that question.
Okay, So regarding co-curricular activities, let's say I have a lot of experience doing that. I've been doing it for a long time, but I don't have a lot of awards in that activity. You look for a achievement among your students for co-curriculars, or if they've been doing it for a long time, is that enough for
Understood. Okay. Here is the question. The question is about the co-curricular activities and the extracurricular activities. The question is, does it make sense only if you have achieved something in that area, or it is all right, you've been following that interest for a long period of time, but do not have considerable amount of achievement? I would say it's always better to have something than not having anything at all. If you have the achievement, it's fine, it's great, it's awesome. If you don't have it, but you've been doing it, then mention that at least. So I would say mention that. That will add some value to it.
There's a question here.
Yeah, hi. I'm doing a 3-year degree. Does it matter? Because it's specified that a 4-year degree is needed for applying to universities in USA. So is a 3-year degree also applicable?
Acceptable.
Acceptable.
Yes. So here is the question. The question is 3-year degree or 4-year degree. What is it that is accepted in the United States for the master's or PhD programs? I would say it varies from university to university. Most of the universities, and we would find it amazing that top 25% of the universities are absolutely okay with 3 years, 4 years. They don't care. They're okay, right? And it's not a point of concern at all. However, what is the suggestion that I have is, whichever school or whichever university you choose for yourself or shortlist for yourself, if they have not mentioned and explicitly about accepting 3 years, 4 years, do drop them an email. Drop them one-liner that I have 3 years of undergrad. Is it accepted for my course, my target program? Just a one-liner, so you get a written confirmation from them before you start off your application process. So it's not a problem. But if you think the program that interests you in a particular university is asking for 4 years, then you always have an option to pursue your master's for 1 year. So that makes it 16. 3 plus 1, 4 plus 12, 16.
Yes, please, you have a question.
My question is, you talked about the essay and you said why that particular university. Now, when we do it in the Common App, are we supposed to do only if I'm going to personalize for Wayne University and then MSU and Arizona or university, should I write each and every essay like 8 to 12 essays?
So here is the thing in the Common App, it's a bit tricky. So what I do is, honestly, at my level, I have worked as a consultant from the last 7 years prior to joining the Wayne State University. I have not worked myself with the undergrad students. I know this is what it is, but I myself have not worked on it. So what I have always recommended candidates, if they're thinking about handful amount of school, which does not happen at the undergrad, they go for 10 to 12 universities, right? If you are sure that 3 to 4 universities you're looking at, rather than directing them to Common App, I always say apply through the university, so you make it personalized. You personalize your stuff, your content for, make it university specific. That's what I suggest. And then on the other area, I would say I have limited knowledge to be able to comment on anything. Yeah. So the question was, I'm sorry, I forgot to repeat the question. It's how do you personalize your essay for the universities while doing this application process via Common Application?
Any final questions from the audience today? Yes, please.
What about SOPs for working professionals? Like, I did my bachelor's in petroleum engineering, but and I want to say I want to take my master's in alternative energy. So I should tell my paradigm shift to how it happened, or should I say some particular brainstorming moment that happened in my life or a great incident that helped me to take up that course?
Here I'm assuming that you have the work experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So the question is, I studied A, I am thinking about B for my master's, right? How to make a story in order to convince the admissions officers that, why transitioning from A to B. That's the question. Now here, it is easy for you to talk about that transition if you have work experience, because I'm assuming that the work experience is in the field of that transition. If you're thinking about B, that work experience is related to B, right? Then in that case, you can use your work experience, that what experience in your, a professional life has drove your interest towards the B program. So that it has to, so it is brainstorming for sure, but brainstorming with the help of what? With the help of work experience. And if you do not have the work experience in that case, then you may want to talk about, for example, you're an engineering candidate, but you have started developing interest in marketing. But my question now would be how? Then you said that you were a part of the marketing community in your college. So that doing the activities there, performing the activities there and succeeding there made you realize that masters in marketing is something that you want to look at in your masters. Brainstorming, thought with the help of something practical that you have done.
With an achievement or with an experience or both?
I feel achievement comes with experience, right? Whatever you have experienced, you should be able to quantify everything. Quantify does not always mean give me the numbers. It's not always possible to give me the numbers, but what value did you add? What you learned from it? What was the takeaway? That's important to mention.
But usually what kind of students do you look in for when you look, or background when you want to select a student for alternative energy?
So that's a very specific question related to, perhaps you could wait after the presentation.
Yes,
you could ask
let's do that.
Yeah. There's one question we have from an online audience member.
There's an online audience, their name is Pavai. They've asked you to comment on the PhD proposals, research proposals, and how to convince my research problems that may have the little needs in the US.
Well, that's also a very specific question. What I would suggest in that case is, for the PhD program, always connect with the professors first prior to starting off your application process. Because when you connect with the professor, you're connecting from the purpose of telling that what is your intention behind studying that subject and whether that professor is interested in taking you or not. If your area of interest matches with the area of interest of the university and particular professor, then that's a great match. Go ahead and apply. So don't worry if you're confused whether you can pursue it, whether it's a great, university to pursue it or not. You will have the answer to this question when you network with the professor prior to starting off the application process. I hope this answers the question.
All right, then with that question, we'll come to an end of this afternoon's session. Thank you so much, Shraddha, for your time.
Pleasure.
And for coming down all the way from Mumbai to do this session for us. And thank you to the audience members for joining us today. For both in-house and the online audience, I'd just like to remind you that on the 29th of August, Thursday, we have another session on undergraduate education. We will be covering the university application portals, Common App, and etc. And we'll also be talking about the financial aid application forms like CSS, ISFA, etc. So please, if you're interested in undergraduate education, please join us on the 29th for this session. And another quick reminder that on the 6th of September, we will be conducting the Education USA Fair in Kochi at Taj Gateway Hotel from 2:15 to 8 p.m. And in Chennai, we will be hosting this education fair on September 7th, which is a Saturday. And this will be at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Tenampet. And this will also be from 2:15 to 8 p.m. In Chennai as well. And finally, just a small announcement to our audience members, both in-house and online. The Education USA India app, mobile application, was recently launched. You can download it. It's free. The app is free to download both on the iOS as well as the Android platforms. So please do download the app, and if you have any queries about studying in the US, the mobile application should be able to help you with information. And if you have any feedback to share with us about the mobile application, please do so at our email ID as well. Thank you once again for joining us. Hope to see you at our next sessions. Right?
Thank you so much. Thank you.